wake up, and the weight of the bed feels like an anchor pressing you down. The sheets whisper promises of 5 more minutes. Your phone glows with notifications, each one an excuse to delay. The world outside feels distant, cold, and inconvenient compared to the warm cocoon that begs you to stay. But this is the moment of truth, the split second where your future is decided. Laziness has already knocked, already whispered, already tempted you to sign the silent deal. Not now, later. And if you take that deal, even once, you set the tone for the entire day. This is the reality most people live in. They negotiate with laziness as if it were a reasonable partner. They let it argue its case. You worked hard yesterday. You deserve rest. You'll do it tomorrow. But you must understand, laziness never runs out of excuses. It's a salesman that never sleeps. It always has another pitch ready. And every time you buy into it, you are trading your future for the illusion of comfort. Discipline, then, is not some abstract virtue. It is the choice you make in these micro moments. It is the refusal to negotiate. You do not debate whether to get up. You get up. You do not ask yourself if you feel like working. You start working. You do not check how motivated you are. You move regardless. This is where the line is drawn, between those who live stuck and those who move forward. Picture yourself standing at a crossroads every morning. One road is paved with soft grass and shaded trees, inviting and easy. The other is rocky, uphill, demanding. Laziness gestures toward the grass, smiling, promising comfort. Discipline points to the climb, blunt and unromantic. And every day, you decide which path you will walk. What most people fail to realize is that choosing the soft road today makes tomorrow's choice harder. You strengthen the roots of laziness. You condition your body and mind to obey excuses. Soon, the grass road becomes so familiar that the rocky climb feels impossible. But when you turn down the hard road, even once, you begin a new cycle. You prove to yourself that you can resist. You lay the first stone of strength. Laziness disguises itself in countless forms. It isn't always lying in bed. Sometimes it's scrolling endlessly through your phone under the illusion of catching up. Sometimes it's binging shows and calling it just one episode. Sometimes it's drowning yourself in small, meaningless tasks while the real work waits untouched. Laziness doesn't need to look lazy. It just needs to keep you away from the difficult things that matter. That is its power. And that is why you must expose it, strip away its disguises, and call it what it is, the enemy of your future. Think about the opportunities you've lost because you listened to laziness. The workout skipped that could have built your strength. The conversation delayed that could have built your connection. The project postponed that could have built your career. Each one seemed small at the time, but together, they carve away at your potential. Laziness doesn't steal your life in one bold stroke. It steals it in quiet, invisible slices. And by the time you notice, years have passed, and you wonder where the time went. That is why you cannot negotiate. The moment you sense laziness in the room, you must stand up, refuse the deal, and move, even if your mind screams otherwise, especially then. Because that is the battle that matters. Not when things are easy, not when energy is high, but when every cell in your body argues against you. That is when discipline is forged. Imagine this. You're sitting at your desk, and a heavy wave of fatigue hits you. Your brain tells you to check your messages, to grab a snack, to reset before continuing. That's laziness knocking. If you answer, you're gone. What you must do instead is push into the wave, ride it, and prove that you are stronger. Every time you do this, you are training yourself. You are rewiring your brain to respect your own commands rather than excuses. You are building a track record of victory, one small choice at a time. This is not punishment. It is respect. Respect for your future self. When you refuse to negotiate with laziness, you're telling yourself, I matter enough to fight for. My goals are worth the discomfort. My tomorrow is worth today's sacrifice. That is not cruelty. That is love at its highest level. Of course, laziness never disappears completely. It will return tomorrow, the next day, and the day after that. It is always waiting, always whispering. But every time you defeat it, it weakens. Every time you act instead of delay, you take back a piece of strength. Over time, the balance shifts. Laziness becomes quieter. Discipline becomes louder. Eventually, you no longer argue. You just act. It becomes who you are, not just something you do. But that transformation begins here, in the raw, uncomfortable moment where laziness presses hardest. You cannot wait until you feel ready. Readiness never comes. Motivation is unreliable. Discipline begins only when you step forward, despite not wanting to. That single decision, to move when every part of you wants to stop, is the seed of a new identity. Ask yourself right now, where has laziness been winning in your life? Maybe in your health, maybe in your studies, maybe in the small promises you break to yourself daily. Each one seems harmless, but each one is training you to give up. And the longer you let it win, the more it shapes who you are. You may think you're just skipping one workout or one task, but really, you're building the habit of saying no to yourself. That is the true danger. So how do you break it? You start small. Pick one thing, just one, that laziness has been stealing from you. The call you've avoided, the page you've left unwritten, the run you've postponed. Do it now, not later, not tomorrow, not after you feel better. Now. That single act, that one small refusal to negotiate, breaks the pattern. And once you've broken it once, you can break it again. The beauty is that discipline doesn't demand perfection. It demands persistence. You will feel resistance. You will lose battles. But if you refuse to let laziness win the war, you will change. Because every victory, no matter how small, strengthens your identity. You start to see yourself differently. You begin to trust your own word, and that trust is priceless. When you know that you will act even when you don't feel like it, you gain a freedom few people ever taste. Remember this: laziness is clever. It will always offer comfort. It will always whisper that tomorrow is better. But tomorrow never changes. Tomorrow looks exactly like today, unless you act now. Time is not waiting for you. Every day you sign laziness's contract. You lose minutes you'll never get back. That is the real cost. Not rest, not comfort, time. Time is the currency of life, and laziness spends it faster than anything else. So when you feel the pull to delay, shut it down. When your body tells you to stay in bed, stand up. When your mind whispers excuses, drown it out with action. Do not let laziness talk you into another lost day. Refuse the deal. Move now. That is how you begin to live disciplined. Because in the end, discipline is not about grand gestures. It is about the smallest possible choice made consistently. Do it now, not later. Each time you choose that, you're not just resisting laziness. You're building the life you want. And over time, those tiny refusals add up to something unshakable. They become your identity. You are no longer someone who debates with weakness. You are someone who moves. From this moment forward, whenever laziness calls, do not answer. Whenever it whispers, silence it. Whenever it offers comfort, walk away. Stand tall, act quickly, and remember, the moment you refuse to negotiate is the moment you begin to transform. You know those moments when you hesitate, just for a second, and suddenly the window is gone? You thought about standing up when the alarm rang, but you rolled over, telling yourself, just a minute. You planned to reply to that email, but you scrolled instead, promising you'd handle it later. That single pause is the seed of hesitation, and hesitation grows into delay, and delay breeds regret. Discipline dies in those seconds. That's why you must build the reflex of acting instantly, before your mind can argue, before excuses arrive. Discipline is not a matter of waiting until you feel strong. It's about training your body to move the moment the thought appears. The smallest delay lets laziness get a foothold. The human brain is quick at building reasons to stop. Within seconds, it creates a story about why later is better. You're tired. You've earned rest. This can wait. That hesitation feels harmless, but it's lethal. Every pause is an opening for comfort to win. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine you live by a reflex. Thought equals action. The moment you think about drinking water, you reach for the glass. The moment you remember a task, you begin it. The moment you see the book on your desk, you open it. You don't wait for the mood. You don't evaluate your energy. You move instantly. This reflex is discipline in its rawest form, not glamorous, not dramatic, but consistent and unstoppable. Think of athletes at the starting line. The gun fires, and their bodies launch forward without hesitation. They don't debate whether to run. They've trained their nervous system to respond instantly. You must train yourself the same way. Life's opportunities are the gunshot. Your instinct must be to act immediately, because if you hesitate, the race is lost before it begins. This is why tiny instant actions matter more than massive delayed efforts. Doing 100 push-ups once a month doesn't make you disciplined. Standing up at the alarm every day without delay, that's discipline. Writing a novel in one feverish burst is not discipline. Sitting down daily, fingers on the keyboard, even when nothing brilliant comes, that's discipline. It's not about intensity, it's about immediacy. The first training ground is simple, the alarm clock. When it rings, you stand up. No snooze, no scrolling, no bargaining. You hear it. You rise. The body resists. The bed pleads. But you move anyway. That one act, repeated daily, tells your mind, I control the response. From there, you expand. You finish a small task immediately, instead of stacking it on tomorrow's list. You reply to the message now instead of later. You take the trash out when you see it, not when it's convenient. Every instant decision rewires you. To help yourself, create a rule. When the thought to act appears, count down. 3, 2, 1. Move. Don't give laziness time to debate. Don't let hesitation enter. The countdown short-circuits excuses. It forces a link between decision and action. At first, it feels awkward. But soon, your body learns. Eventually, you don't even need the count. You move by instinct. Think of all the places you've lost momentum because of hesitation. You wanted to exercise, but waited, then skipped. You thought of studying, but paused, then got distracted. You remembered an idea, but delayed, and forgot. These aren't accidents. They're proof that hesitation destroys. Now imagine how different your life looks if you acted every time. No delay, no excuses, just instant response. That difference alone separates those who live stuck from those who rise. Understand this truth. Hesitation isn't neutral. Every time you pause, you train your brain that it's acceptable to delay. You reinforce weakness. You build a habit of waiting. Over time, that habit dominates you. You become someone who thinks but never moves, dreams but never acts, promises but never delivers. That's the cost of hesitation. But when you choose instant action, you send the opposite signal. You prove to yourself that thought equals execution. That builds trust. You trust your own word. You know you'll move when you decide. That trust grows into confidence. Confidence grows into momentum. Momentum grows into discipline. Let's be clear. Acting instantly doesn't mean recklessness. It doesn't mean rushing blindly into every whim. It means when you know what's necessary, when the task in front of you aligns with your goals, you act without debate. You don't negotiate with feelings. You don't wait for conditions. You decide. Then you do. It will feel uncomfortable. The first few times, even a tiny task will feel heavy. Standing up at the alarm feels impossible. Starting the workout feels like dragging concrete. But the discomfort fades the moment you begin. That's the secret. Effort is heaviest at the start. Push past those opening seconds, and momentum takes over. The hardest part is moving at all. The rest unfolds naturally. This is why the small things matter so much. Picking up your shoes when you see them out of place. Washing a single dish instead of leaving it. Writing one sentence instead of waiting for inspiration. These acts seem trivial, but they are training. You're building the muscle of instant response, and that muscle will carry you when the stakes are higher, when the project is massive, when the challenge is overwhelming, when life demands focus. Ask yourself, which group do you want to belong to? The ones who hesitate and watch life slip by, or the ones who move instantly and build momentum daily? The choice is made in seconds, not years. Your destiny is shaped not by rare heroic moments, but by how you respond to the thought of action right now. From today forward, test yourself. Every time you think of something useful, count down and do it. Don't pause. Don't debate. 3, 2, 1. Move. Each time you succeed, you gain strength. Each time you fail, you learn how fast excuses arrive. Study your hesitation. Notice the patterns. Then cut them off earlier next time. Over time, acting instantly becomes your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who needs motivation. You stop doubting whether you'll follow through. You become the person who moves first, who takes action, who never lets comfort argue. And that identity is priceless. Understand, hesitation may feel safe, but it is a thief. It steals your time, your progress, your self-respect. Instant action may feel uncomfortable, but it is a builder. It builds momentum, trust, and strength. Every second you delay, you strengthen laziness. Every second you act, you strengthen discipline. That's the law. So the next time you feel the thought rise, I should do this, don't wait. Don't ask how you feel. Don't check if you're ready. Move now. Because your life doesn't change in some day. It changes in the exact second you decide to act without delay. Thoughts are the hidden architects of your life. Every choice you make, every action you take, begins first in the mind. And yet most people let their thoughts run unchecked, as if the stream of words inside their head is beyond control. They live on autopilot, carried by doubts, fears, excuses, and endless chatter. Then they wonder why discipline never sticks. The truth is simple. If you don't take command of your thoughts will command you. And they rarely push you toward strength. They pull you toward comfort. You wake up and think, "I'm too tired to get up." That thought alone kills momentum. You approach a difficult task and think, "I'm not capable." That thought cancels action. You promise yourself you'll start today. But another thought appears. "It's not urgent. Tomorrow will be better." That thought drags you back into delay. What you allow in your mind becomes the script you live out. Thoughts are not harmless. They are orders. And if you let weak thoughts stay, you will live a weak life. The discipline of mastering your inner dialogue is not optional. It's the foundation of every habit, every routine, every victory. You cannot force yourself into consistent action if the voice inside you is always sabotaging you. You must seize that voice, reshape it, and train it to work for you instead of against you. Step 1 is awareness. Most people never stop to notice what they are thinking. They treat their thoughts as facts, not realizing most of them are illusions, echoes of past failures, or borrowed fears from other people. You must pause and listen carefully. Ask yourself in the moment of resistance, "What am I thinking right now?" Write it down if you must. Get it out of the shadows and into the light. Because once you see the thought clearly, you can challenge it. And this is step 2, replacement. You cannot simply tell a thought to disappear. The mind doesn't work that way. If you try to push a negative thought away, it clings tighter. The only way to evict it is to replace it with a stronger one. Laziness says, "I can't." You replace it with, "I can start small and grow stronger." Doubt says, "I'll fail." You replace it with, "Failure is feedback, and feedback makes me unstoppable." Excuses say, "Not now." You replace them with, "Now is the only time discipline exists." Each replacement is a battle won in the mind, before the war even reaches your actions. Do not underestimate the environment you feed your mind. Every conversation, every headline, every video you consume plants seeds. Spend time with complainers, and their complaints echo in your head. Fill your day with distractions, and your thoughts drift toward comfort instead of growth. If you want disciplined thoughts, you must curate disciplined inputs. Choose what you allow into your mind as carefully as you choose what you eat. Garbage in, garbage out. Clarity in, clarity out. Another essential practice is reflection. At the end of each day, review your thoughts like a coach reviews game tape. Ask yourself, which thoughts pushed me forward today? Which ones pulled me back? Write down the weak ones and design their replacements. Over time, this habit transforms you into a thinker who does not get dragged by the first voice in the head, but instead directs the conversation with authority. Your emotions follow your thoughts. When you think, "I'm overwhelmed," you feel stress. When you think, "I'm capable," you feel calm strength. This is why controlling your thoughts isn't just mental. It's emotional, physical, and practical. A weak thought poisons your energy before you even act. A strong thought fuels your focus before the first step is taken. But here is the truth. Your mind will resist. It will exaggerate difficulty. It will tell you the task is too big, that failure is inevitable, that you're not ready. These are lies, distorted stories dressed as facts. You must challenge them ruthlessly. Break the task into smaller pieces. Remind yourself that readiness is an illusion. Replace fear with truth. Yes, it's hard, but I can handle one step at a time. That one step destroys the lie before it grows. Discipline in thought does not mean pretending life is easy. It means choosing the frame that empowers you instead of the frame that imprisons you. Two people face the same challenge. One thinks, it's impossible. They quit before starting. The other thinks, it's tough, but I'll learn. They begin. Same circumstance, different thought, completely different outcome. The difference is not luck, it's mental discipline. To make this practical, create triggers. The alarm rings, you notice the thought, 5 more minutes. Replace it instantly. Getting up now makes me stronger. You face a blank screen, you notice the thought, I have nothing to say. Replace it instantly. Writing one sentence breaks the block. You stand at the gym door, you notice the thought, I don't feel like it. Replace it instantly. The workout will change how I feel. These quick replacements, done daily, are the training ground for a mind that obeys you instead of betraying you. The payoff is massive. When you control your thoughts, you stop being a victim of moods. You no longer wait for inspiration. You stop being tossed around by every doubt or fear. You feel a quiet power, because you know the voice inside you is no longer an enemy, but an ally. And that power radiates into your actions. You act more, hesitate less, recover faster. You live with intention instead of reaction. Think of your thoughts as visitors at the door of your mind. Some bring value, focus, determination, clarity. Others bring poison, excuses, complaints, fear. You get to choose who enters. The undisciplined person lets every visitor in. The disciplined person guards the door. They welcome strength and send weakness away. That choice, made repeatedly, builds the foundation for an unstoppable life. From this moment forward, do not accept every thought as truth. Examine, replace, direct. Train your inner voice to sound like a leader giving clear orders, not a critic tearing you down. And every time you replace weakness with strength, you move one step closer to living a life where your thoughts serve your goals instead of destroying them. Human behavior is built on repetition. What you do once doesn't shape you. What you do again and again is what carves grooves into your brain and becomes who you are. Think about it. Every skill you've ever learned, from walking to speaking to writing your name, was once awkward and unfamiliar. But because you repeated it long enough, your brain adjusted. The extraordinary power of the human mind is that it normalizes what you practice, whether good or bad. This means if you repeat laziness, that becomes natural. If you repeat excuses, they become automatic. But if you repeat strength, discipline, and consistent effort, those also become automatic. At first, forcing repetition feels like a grind. It's uncomfortable. You're fighting against years of patterns that tell you comfort is better. You'll say, "This doesn't feel like me." But that's the point. You're changing what feels like you. And that only happens through deliberate, consistent repetition. Think of the first time you tried something hard. Maybe waking up early, maybe going to the gym, maybe speaking in public. The first attempt felt unnatural. Your body resisted. Your mind screamed. Yet the more you repeated it, the less foreign it became. Eventually, it felt normal. What changed wasn't the task. It was your brain. It adapted because you gave it repetition. The problem is that most people quit before this adjustment takes place. They try something for a few days, maybe a week, and because it still feels heavy, they assume it isn't for them. They expect discipline to feel natural immediately, but nothing feels natural at the start. Walking once felt impossible. Reading once felt confusing. Driving once felt terrifying. You only mastered those things because you kept repeating them until your brain surrendered. This is where discipline is born, in the middle stage, when effort feels forced and results are invisible. That is the test. If you survive the middle, you win. But if you quit too soon, you never rewire yourself. Think of planting a seed. If you dig it up every day to check if it's growing, it never takes root. Habits work the same way. You must give them enough repetition to sink deep. Here's the secret. It's not about intensity. Doing something once with huge effort doesn't rewire your brain. It's about rhythm, consistency, daily repetition. Reading 2 pages every night beats reading 200 pages once a month. Doing 10 push-ups daily beats doing 100 once and quitting for weeks. The brain doesn't care about bursts. It learns through patterns. You must also strip away the expectation of instant change. Too many people demand quick results. They want the brain to accept new behavior after 1 or 2 tries. When that doesn't happen, they stop. But your brain doesn't change on demand. It changes with persistence. Your job is not to wait for it to feel natural, but to keep repeating until it does. Repetition is evidence. Every time you do the action, you show yourself proof. I can do this. 1 push-up proves you can move. 1 page proves you can write. 1 focused hour proves you can concentrate. Over time, these small proofs pile up. They create belief, and belief is the bridge to identity. You stop saying, "I'm trying to be disciplined," and you start saying, "I am disciplined." That shift doesn't happen because of words. It happens because of repetition. There will be days when repetition feels dull, boring, even pointless. You'll think, does this really matter? That's the trap. Because repetition is most powerful when it feels boring. Anyone can do something when it's exciting. The disciplined person continues when it's not. Those plain, uneventful days are the ones that change you the most. They deepen the grooves in your brain until the behavior is automatic. Look at your current life, your posture, your speech, your habits. All of them were shaped by repetition. You didn't become who you are in a single day. You became who you are by repeating patterns, day after day, until they defined you. If repetition shaped the old you, it can shape the new you. The question is, are you willing to repeat long enough for your brain to adapt? A practical strategy is habit linking. Attach the new behavior to something you already do. Want to write daily? Place your notebook next to your coffee mug. So, the act of pouring coffee triggers writing. Want to practice gratitude? Write 3 things you're thankful for after brushing your teeth. Linking creates natural reminders, making repetition easier. Celebrate the completion of repetition, not just the outcome. Don't only reward yourself after big results, reward yourself for showing up. Each repetition is victory. Each day you stick with it reinforces the groove. This mindset keeps you going when results are still invisible. Another obstacle is monotony. Your brain craves novelty, but novelty doesn't build discipline. Repetition does. Accept boredom as part of training. See it not as a sign of failure, but as proof that you're rewiring. If you can endure repetition without excitement, you prove your seriousness. That seriousness is what separates those who quit from those who succeed. If you want a challenge, pick one small behavior and commit to 30 days straight. Do not miss. It could be one paragraph of writing, one short workout, or 1 minute of meditation. Force yourself through discomfort, through boredom, through resistance. After 30 days, your brain will start to accept it. Extend it to 60, and it will feel harder not to do it than to do it. That is the tipping point, when the habit belongs to you. Think about this. Repetition is not slow. It is the fastest path to change. Why? Because once your brain accepts the new pattern, you no longer fight every day. The habit carries you. You don't wrestle with decision or willpower. You simply live it. That is freedom. So don't quit in the middle. Don't stop when it feels awkward. Don't demand instant results. Keep repeating until your brain surrenders. Because in the end, repetition is not just what you do, it's who you become. And when you repeat discipline long enough, it ceases to be forced. It becomes your identity. The voice in your head is the most powerful influence in your life. Not your boss, not your parents, not your friends. The words you whisper to yourself, silently and endlessly, shape who you become. If that inner voice is filled with excuses, doubt, and weakness, then your actions will follow the same script. You cannot build discipline if the story in your mind is constantly telling you that you're too tired, too unprepared, too incapable. That is why strict self-direction matters. You must replace vague, negative self-talk with precise, commanding instructions. Picture this. You're standing in front of your running shoes. One voice says, "You don't feel like it today. Rest would be better." Another voice says, "You said you would do it. Lace them up now." Which voice you obey decides everything. The undisciplined person entertains the first voice. The disciplined person amplifies the second. They use clear commands. Stand up, put on the shoes, go. No negotiation, no softness, no extra explanations. Clarity cuts through hesitation. Most people speak to themselves with the tone of a critic. They say, "I'm lazy. I'll never improve. I don't have what it takes." These phrases burrow deep, and with enough repetition, they become self-fulfilling prophecies. You begin to live down to your own words. But strict self-direction flips the script. Instead of judgment, you use orders. Instead of complaining, you command. When the weak thought arises, you don't argue with it. You replace it instantly with direct instruction. Understand that vagueness kills action. If you tell yourself, "Maybe I'll work later," your body hesitates. If you tell yourself, "I'll try to focus," distraction slips in. But when you say, "Sit down now, write 1 page," your body knows exactly what to do. That is the strength of precision. Discipline thrives on specific, clear direction. Here's a practice. Write down the excuses you catch yourself repeating. "I'm too tired. I'll never succeed. It's not urgent." Then, next to each one, write the strict directive that should replace it. "I'm too tired" becomes, "Start for 5 minutes now." "I'll never succeed" becomes, "Practice today until I'm stronger." "It's not urgent" becomes, "Do it immediately before anything else." Keep that list visible. When the old phrases rise, replace them with the new commands. Over time, your inner dialogue changes tone, from passive to assertive, from doubting to directing. Strict self-direction requires firmness. You cannot give yourself soft orders and expect strong results. If your voice sounds like a suggestion, your actions will treat it like one. You must sound like a coach in your own head, Direct, uncompromising, serious. When the thought comes, "I don't feel like it," you must respond with authority. Do it anyway. Start now. That firmness is what signals to your mind that there is no alternative. At first, the negative voice will resist. It will argue, reminding you of past failures, pointing to your weaknesses, trying to overwhelm you. But every time you replace it with firm direction, the negative voice weakens. Over time, your inner dialogue transforms. The weak whispers fade, and the strong commands become dominant. Eventually, you don't waste time debating. You simply give yourself an order and follow it. You must also be careful of the disguised negativity that masquerades as kindness. Sometimes the voice says, "You deserve to rest, even though you haven't earned it," or "Taking it easy today won't hurt." These thoughts feel comforting, but they are traps. They lower your standards under the mask of self-care. Strict self-direction cuts through these lies. It says, "Rest is earned, not given. Do the work first." It says, "Tomorrow won't be better unless you act today." This honesty is harsher, but it protects you from false comfort that weakens you in the long run. Your environment also affects your self-talk. If you surround yourself with people who complain, criticize, and lower expectations, their language seeps into your own. Before you know it, you're echoing their negativity, even when they're not around. That's why you must guard the voices you allow near you. Spend time around those who speak with clarity, strength, and vision, and you'll find yourself imitating that tone. A practical way to strengthen your inner commands is through writing. At the start of the day, write 3 clear directives to yourself. Not vague goals, not soft wishes, but commands. Finish the draft by 10 a.m. Do 30 minutes of exercise immediately after work. No phone use until after tasks are complete. Read them aloud. Throughout the day, repeat them as orders. The more you practice speaking to yourself with authority, the more natural it becomes. Strict self-direction is not about cruelty. It is not about beating yourself down. It is about honesty and clarity. Negative self-talk lies to you. It exaggerates weakness and hides strength. Strict direction gives you the truth. You may be tired, but you can start. You may be afraid, but you can move anyway. You may not see results yet, but repetition will bring them. That is the truth, and discipline is built on truth. Eventually, your inner voice becomes a leader you trust. You wake up and hear yourself say, "Stand up now," and you obey. You face a challenge and hear, "Start immediately," and you move. You feel resistance and hear, "Do not stop until finished," and you continue. That inner dialogue guides you with power, like a personal coach living inside your mind. Every disciplined person you admire has built this skill. They didn't silence negativity by accident. They replaced it, daily, with strict direction until it became automatic. You can do the same. Awareness, replacement, precision, firmness. These are the tools. Practice them daily, and the voice in your head will no longer sabotage you. It will lead you. From this moment forward, refuse to let negative self-talk shape your life. Replace every weak phrase with a strict command. Speak to yourself like a leader, not a victim. Direct yourself firmly toward action, because the voice you listen to most is your own. And if that voice is disciplined, then so will be your life. Comfort feels harmless. It's the soft couch that welcomes you after work, the endless scroll that numbs your mind, the extra snack that feels deserved. Comfort doesn't shout, it whispers. It says, relax. You can start later. You've done enough for today. And without realizing it, you slide into patterns that drain your drive. The problem isn't that comfort exists. It always will. The problem is that comfort, left unchecked, weakens you. That is why you must create pressure. Conditions so tight, so clear, so unavoidable, that comfort has no room to seduce you. Think of the last time you faced a real deadline. You delayed, and then suddenly the final day arrived. In a burst of hours, you produced more than you had in weeks. What changed? Not your ability. You always had it. What changed was pressure. Pressure shut down excuses. Pressure forced focus. Pressure turned, maybe later, into do it now. The disciplined person doesn't wait for external deadlines to force this state. They create it deliberately. They engineer pressure in their own lives so that action becomes non-negotiable. Without pressure, comfort wins. With pressure, discipline thrives. There are many forms of productive pressure. The first is accountability. When you tell no one about your goals, comfort has room to talk you out of them. But when you make your commitment visible, when you tell a friend or mentor or team, you feel the weight of expectation. That weight is pressure, and it pushes you forward. You don't want to let others down, and that extra force closes the door on laziness. Another form is deadlines. A goal without a deadline is a wish. If you tell yourself you'll get to it someday, comfort stretches that someday into forever. But when you assign a clear date, and better yet, a short one, you create urgency. Suddenly, comfort has no space to argue. You must act now. Even small self-imposed deadlines train you to deliver under pressure. Financial pressure is another tool. When you invest in something, whether it's a class, equipment, or coaching, you create stakes. Comfort tempts you to skip, but the money you've spent whispers, "Don't waste this." That whisper can be the push you need. Many people waste opportunities simply because they never attach real value to their commitments. Pressure through investment solves that. You can also raise pressure by raising standards. If you accept mediocrity, comfort easily wins. But when you set the bar higher, when you demand more from yourself, you feel the pressure to rise. High standards don't allow comfort to sneak in unnoticed. They demand seriousness, even when no one is watching. Visualization creates emotional pressure. Ask yourself, if I keep choosing comfort, what will my life look like in 5 years? Picture the wasted time, the missed opportunities, the regret building like a weight you can't shake. That image burns. That burn creates urgency. Suddenly, comfort doesn't look harmless. It looks dangerous. That's pressure. And then there's responsibility. When others depend on you, you cannot afford to fold into comfort. Parents who work to provide, leaders who carry teams, soldiers who defend nations, pressure makes them rise. You may not face such extremes, but you can use the same principle. Take on commitments where others rely on your discipline. Responsibility becomes your pressure. Understand this. Comfort whispers, but pressure demands. Comfort delays, but pressure accelerates. Comfort says later, pressure says now, and you always need more now. But pressure does more than force action. It builds resilience. When you live under healthy pressure, you get stronger. You stop waiting for perfect conditions. You learn to act even when distracted, tired, or unmotivated. Pressure makes discipline your default, not your exception. Here's a practice. Each week, set a visible deadline for a task and announce it. Tell a friend, Post it on a board or track it publicly. The discomfort you feel? That's pressure. Next, shorten the time frame. If you think something takes a week, give yourself 3 days. You'll cut distractions and focus on essentials. Add financial or personal stakes. If you miss, you lose something valuable. Watch how comfort shrinks under the weight of those conditions. You can also create micro-pressure in daily moments. When comfort whispers, rest now. Start later. Speak a strict command. Do it now. The firmness of those words creates instant pressure. That tension between order and resistance pushes you forward. The disciplined life isn't about eliminating comfort. It's about overpowering it with pressure. Comfort will always invite you to stay idle. But if you live by pressure, you create a system where action is the only option. Over time, pressure no longer feels like stress. It feels like structure. It becomes the backbone of your discipline. So stop waiting for life to force your hand. Create pressure deliberately. Announce your commitments. Set strict deadlines. Raise your standards. Invest real value. Take on responsibility. Each one tightens the frame around you, leaving no room for laziness to breathe. And when comfort calls, answer with pressure. Pressure says, move now. Pressure says, do it anyway. Pressure says, your future depends on this choice. That is how you rise. That is how you crush comfort before it weakens you. And that is how you live disciplined when everyone else settles for ease. Mental toughness is the armor you wear when the world tempts you with relief. It is the inner steel that holds you upright when your body begs for rest, when your mind pleads for escape, when every cell inside you whispers, stop. Toughness is not built in moments of ease. It is born exactly where effort feels unbearable. And if you want a disciplined life, you must learn to choose effort again and again, even when relief looks sweeter, softer, safer. Life presents you with this choice daily: effort or relief, work or rest, growth or stagnation. Each time you choose relief, you trade long-term strength for short-term comfort. The relief feels good for a moment, but it leaves regret behind. Each time you choose effort, you feel discomfort in the moment, but you gain pride, progress, and resilience. Which choice will make you stronger? Which choice will make you proud tomorrow? That question defines mental toughness. Think of the times you gave in to relief. You cut a workout short. You quit a project halfway. You scrolled when you should have studied. At first, it felt harmless. But later, guilt settled in. You knew you could have done more. That guilt chips away at self-respect. Do it often enough, and you stop trusting yourself. You start to believe you are someone who breaks promises. That is the danger of relief. It erodes trust in your own strength. Now think of the times you pushed through effort. You were tired, but finished the run. You were stressed, but completed the assignment. You wanted to quit, but stayed until the end. The discomfort faded, but the pride stayed. That pride built confidence, and confidence made the next effort easier. This is the cycle you want: effort leading to pride, pride fueling more effort, toughness growing each time. The truth is that toughness is not a gift. You are not born with it. You build it, choice by choice. Every time you reject false relief, you reinforce toughness. Every time you choose discomfort, you harden your mind. Start small. Finish your workout without cutting corners. Stay focused for the extra 10 minutes instead of checking your phone. Complete the task you promised yourself before resting. These may seem like tiny acts, but each one is a rep in the gym of mental toughness. Just as muscles grow by resisting weight, toughness grows by resisting relief. You must also shift how you see effort. Most people treat effort as punishment. They dread it, avoid it, complain about it. But effort is training, not punishment. Every time you sweat, every time you strain, every time you keep moving when you'd rather stop, you are forging strength. You are practicing resilience. You are hardening your mind for the challenges ahead. Begin to welcome effort as proof that you are growing. Relief offers nothing lasting. Effort builds everything worth having. See the burn in your muscles, the fatigue in your mind, the frustration in your heart as signs you are in the exact place where growth lives. Anyone can perform when it's easy. Toughness is built when it is hard. You must also create rules for yourself that you do not break. Rules anchor you when relief tries to pull you off course. For example, I do not quit halfway. I do not go to bed until the day's task is complete. I do not allow my phone to interrupt my focus. These rules are not suggestions. They are laws you live by. Relief thrives in flexibility, in loopholes, in gray areas. Rules close those gaps. They create pressure to choose effort. Patience is also part of toughness. Relief tempts you because it offers immediate comfort. Effort demands patience. You may work for weeks or months before results arrive. Most people quit during that gap. They cannot endure the space between work and reward. But toughness is staying the course even when results are invisible. Trust the process. Every rep, every page, every hour of effort is a brick in the foundation. You may not see the wall rising yet, but each brick matters. Another way to build toughness is to seek effort intentionally. Don't wait for life to challenge you. Challenge yourself. Wake up earlier than feels comfortable. Take the harder option when an easier one exists. Push through one more set, one more minute, one more page. By choosing effort on purpose, you inoculate yourself against weakness. You become prepared for the day when effort is forced upon you, because you have already trained under self-imposed strain. And remember, toughness is built in perspective. Relief whispers. Avoid pain. Effort replies. Pain now or regret later. Choose wisely. The discomfort of effort is temporary. The regret of relief is permanent. When you face the urge to stop, ask yourself, which pain do I want? The pain of pushing through, or the pain of looking back, disappointed? That single question can redirect your decision in the moment. As you repeat this pattern, choosing effort over relief, you begin to notice change. Tasks that once broke you now feel manageable. Challenges that once overwhelmed you now feel routine. You carry yourself with quiet confidence because you know you can endure. You trust yourself to stay the course. And that trust is the essence of discipline. From today forward, begin to catch yourself in the moment of choice. Relief will always call. Effort will always demand. Ask yourself, which decision makes me stronger? Then move quickly, before excuses rise. Each choice of effort is a brick. Stack enough, and you build an unshakable fortress of toughness. Because toughness is not about never feeling weak. It is about feeling weak and moving anyway. It is about living by the principle that discipline is not comfort, not ease, not relief. It is effort chosen consistently until effort itself becomes your natural state. Impulses strike like lightning, sudden, sharp, almost irresistible urges. Skip the workout, eat the junk, check the phone, quit the task. They come without warning, and they feel urgent. But the truth about impulses is this: they are short-term thieves. They steal your future strength for a few seconds of comfort. They offer relief right now, but they hide the long-term pain that always follows. Discipline requires that you learn to fight impulses, not by brute force alone, but by remembering the cost they carry. Think of the last time you gave in. You told yourself you'd just watch one video. Then, an hour vanished. You promised one cookie. Then, the whole pack was gone. You planned to rest for 5 minutes, then never returned to the work. In the moment, the impulse felt harmless. But what came after? Guilt, frustration, the sinking awareness that you'd betrayed yourself again. That is the real weight of an impulse. It multiplies into regret that lingers long after the pleasure has faded. The secret is to create a pause between the urge and the action. Most people feel the urge and obey instantly. They never insert a gap. But discipline lives in that gap. In that split second, you can project yourself forward. You can imagine the long-term pain that follows surrender. When the impulse to skip the workout appears, picture the weakness and disappointment you'll feel tomorrow. When the impulse to procrastinate whispers, picture the stress and chaos of unfinished work piling up. When the impulse to indulge tempts you, picture the loss of energy, the fog in your mind, the dissatisfaction in your body. That vision of pain must be heavier than the quick comfort of the impulse. Make it vivid. See the wasted hours. Feel the regret. Hear your own voice saying, "I should have resisted." Let that imagined pain hit you in advance. It will give you the strength to say no now. But resisting impulses is not only about avoiding pain, it's also about building power. Every time you resist, you gain confidence. You prove to yourself that you can control urges instead of being controlled by them. That proof stacks, day after day, until you trust yourself completely. You stop fearing impulses because you know you can handle them. That trust is priceless. You must also study your triggers. When do impulses hit hardest? Maybe it's when you're tired. Maybe it's when you're stressed. Maybe it's when you're bored. If you don't know your triggers, you'll keep walking into the same traps. But once you see them, you can prepare. You can create rules in advance. When I feel the urge to scroll, I will take a walk instead. When I crave junk, I will drink water first. When I want to quit, I will do one more minute before deciding. Replacement breaks the cycle. It transforms destructive energy into constructive action. Understand, impulses are temporary. They feel overwhelming, but they fade if you don't feed them. Most urges last only a few minutes. If you can hold the line long enough, the wave passes. This is why the pause matters so much. Every time you wait out an impulse, you weaken it. Every time you obey, you strengthen it. Over weeks and months, those small decisions determine who holds the power, you or your impulses. Shift your perspective of pain. You cannot avoid pain in life. You can only choose which pain you endure. The pain of effort is sharp but short. The pain of regret is dull but endless. When an impulse arrives, ask yourself, do I want the short pain of discipline or the long pain of regret? That question exposes the truth the impulse tries to hide. You can also create shields against impulses by managing your environment. Don't stock the food you know you'll overeat. Don't keep your phone in reach when you work. Don't leave distractions visible. Why fight battles you can avoid? Structure your world so that impulses have fewer chances to strike. Another tool is identity. Stop saying, "I'm trying not to give in." Start saying, "I am someone who controls impulses." When you tie discipline to who you are, resisting becomes natural. Each victory confirms the identity. Each defeat feels out of character. That identity becomes armor against urges. Remember, every person who lives with regret today was once someone who obeyed impulses yesterday. They didn't ruin their life in one moment. They ruined it in 1,000 small moments of surrender. Don't join them. Choose differently. Fight for your future, one urge at a time. From today forward, when an impulse appears, pause. Project the pain forward. Replace the urge with a stronger action. Hold the line long enough to let it fade. Each time you do, you build a new layer of discipline. Each time you win, you prove that you are stronger than the storm inside you. Impulses will never disappear completely, but they can lose their power. You can reach a place where urges are nothing but background noise, noticed, but ignored. And when you arrive there, you will know the truth. The disciplined life is not built on perfect conditions or endless motivation. It is built on small battles, won against impulses, every single day. Every morning, you wake up with a finite supply of energy. Think of it like a battery that drains with every choice, every action, every distraction. You cannot recharge it instantly. Once the day is gone, it's gone. The question is simple. Where will you direct that energy? Into actions that move your life forward, or into meaningless tasks that keep you busy but empty? Discipline is not just about forcing yourself to act. It is about forcing yourself to act on what matters most. So many people mistake activity for progress. They check emails endlessly, shuffle papers, clean their desks, scroll through news feeds. They feel busy, but at the end of the day, they've built nothing. Their energy was scattered across distractions, leaving them drained but unfulfilled. That is false productivity, effort without impact. And if you live that way long enough, you start to believe effort itself is enough. But it's not. Only directed effort counts. The disciplined person asks, is this action moving me closer to the life I want? If the answer is no, they cut it off. They refuse to waste energy on what doesn't matter. They understand that saying yes to trivial tasks means saying no to meaningful ones. Discipline is not only about doing more, it is about doing less of the wrong things. Clarity is the first step. You must define what truly matters. Ask yourself, what few actions create the biggest results in my health, my work, my relationships, my growth? Write them down. Keep them visible. Those are your true priorities. Without clarity, you'll drift. You'll chase every demand, every notification, every invitation. But when you know your priorities, you can direct your battery only toward them. A practical method is the rule of 3. Each morning, identify the 3 most important tasks of the day. These are not errands or busy work. They are the actions that create lasting progress. Complete them before touching anything else. Even if the rest of the day falls apart, you've won. Because your energy fueled what mattered most. Protect your peak hours. Everyone has times of day when their energy is highest. For some, it's early morning. For others, afternoon or evening. Guard those hours fiercely. Do not waste them on trivial tasks. Direct them to your top priorities. Checking emails when your mind is sharp is like burning cash. Save those high-energy windows for the work that builds your future. Boundaries are another discipline. People will always demand your energy for their priorities. They'll ask for favors, drag you into drama, interrupt your focus. If you say yes to everything, you'll have nothing left for yourself. Discipline requires the strength to say no without guilt. That no is not selfish, it is survival. Every yes to distraction is a no to your future. Be ruthless about false productivity. Ask yourself often, am I busy or am I effective? Cleaning your desk again, scrolling for research, responding instantly to every message. These feel like work, but they create no impact. Cut them out. Direct your battery into what actually builds your health, skills, relationships, or freedom. This discipline extends beyond work. If you spend energy on negativity, on gossip, on arguments, you are draining yourself for nothing. That is energy you could have invested in reading, training, creating, connecting. Every thought, every conversation, every habit either builds or drains you. Choose wisely. Track your energy honestly. Write down how you spend each hour for a week. You'll be shocked at the leaks. Hours lost to screens, to meaningless chatter, to tasks that didn't matter. Awareness is power. Once you see the leaks, you can plug them. Each leak you close frees more energy for what counts. Directing energy also means designing your environment. Remove distractions before they can steal from you. Silence notifications, clear clutter, block toxic inputs. Create a space where your focus is protected. The easier it is to stay on task, the more energy you preserve for meaningful action. This is not about perfection. You will still waste some energy. Everyone does. But the disciplined person minimizes it. They live by the principle. Most of my energy must go to what matters most. Over time, this compounds. While others spend years busy but stagnant, you spend years focused and advancing. And remember, life is short. Every day you scatter energy on meaningless things is a day you never get back. The regret of wasted energy is heavy. Don't carry it. Direct your battery into building something lasting. From now on, start your day with clarity. Pick your 3 priorities. Guard your peak hours. Protect your focus. Say no to what doesn't matter. And pour your finite energy only into actions that create real progress. Do this daily, and you will look back on a life built with precision instead of scattered effort. Because discipline is not just about acting, it is about acting on what truly matters. And when every ounce of your energy fuels your future instead of distractions, your life transforms. Motivation is a liar. It arrives like a spark, sudden, exciting, full of energy. But it never stays. One morning you leap out of bed, eager to conquer everything. The next morning you drag yourself up, wondering why the fire is gone. If your life depends on motivation, you will live inconsistent. You will only act on good days, and you will stall on bad ones. Motivation is not strong enough to carry you. Discipline is. And the way you build discipline is by conditioning your mind to act without waiting for the right feeling. Action is not fueled by motivation. Motivation is fueled by action. People get this backwards. They wait for inspiration before they start writing. They wait for the gym mood before they train. They wait for confidence before they take a step forward. But those feelings often appear only after movement has begun. Start running, and energy arrives. Start writing, and ideas flow. Start working, and momentum builds. The truth is simple. Feelings follow action, not the other way around. Conditioning your mind means you no longer ask, "Do I feel like it?" The answer to that question is irrelevant. You act because you decided to act. You act because it is the rule. Just as a pilot does not decide whether to check the aircraft, just as a firefighter does not decide whether to respond to an alarm, You do what must be done, no matter how you feel. That is the essence of conditioning. Removing choice, removing negotiation, removing dependence on emotion. One of the strongest ways to build this conditioning is through non-negotiables. These are daily commitments that happen no matter what. Not if I have time, not if I feel inspired, but always. It could be 30 minutes of exercise, 1 hour of focused work, writing a set number of words, or reviewing your goals. The point is consistency. Non-negotiables rewire your brain to act automatically. They stop the endless debate between desire and laziness. They make the action part of who you are. Start small. Don't overwhelm yourself by changing everything at once. Pick one non-negotiable and protect it fiercely. At first, it will feel heavy. You'll hear the voice saying, "Skip today." Just once won't hurt. Ignore it. Each time you act anyway, you weaken that voice. Over time, resistance fades. What once felt forced begins to feel normal. Eventually, the habit carries itself. Another technique is shortening the gap between decision and action. The longer you wait after deciding, the more excuses multiply. If you decide to exercise, move immediately. If you decide to read, open the book right away. Delay feeds hesitation. Instant action feeds discipline. Even the smallest step, tying your shoes, opening the file, writing one sentence, locks in momentum. Make this a reflex. Decide, then move. Reframe how you think about motivation itself. Treat it like a bonus, not a requirement. When you wake up feeling inspired, use it. When you wake up feeling drained, ignore it and act anyway. Stop giving motivation the power to dictate your life. If it shows up, great. If not, you still move. That is the standard of discipline. Tie your actions to identity. Instead of saying, "I need motivation to do this," say, "I am the kind of person who does this." When you see yourself as disciplined, you act because it's who you are, not because you feel like it. Identity-driven discipline is far stronger than feeling-driven discipline. Expect resistance. Your mind will try to argue. It will say you're too tired, too busy, too unprepared. This mental resistance is natural. Don't fight it. Ignore it. Act anyway. Each time you do, you prove to yourself that you are stronger than the voice of delay. That proof builds confidence, and confidence reinforces discipline. Structure also matters. If your day is unstructured, you leave room for indecision. But when your routines are clear, you act without question. Wake up at the same time. Begin work at the same time. End with the same rituals. These structures condition your behavior until it feels automatic. The fewer choices you leave to feelings, the stronger your discipline becomes. Look at anyone who has achieved mastery. Do you think they felt motivated every day? Of course not. They acted because they trained themselves to move regardless. They understood that discipline is not about waiting, it's about conditioning. The cost of waiting for motivation is massive. You lose time, you lose momentum, you lose trust in yourself. Each time you delay, you reinforce the belief that you can't act without the right mood. That belief grows until you feel powerless. But the opposite is also true. Each time you act without motivation, you reinforce the belief that you are in control. That belief grows until action becomes second nature. Here is your task. Decide one action you will condition into your life. Make it daily. Make it non-negotiable. Protect it for 30 days. No excuses, no waiting. Watch how your brain adapts. At first, it will resist, but soon, it will accept. Then, It will normalize. Finally, it will identify. What begins as something you do becomes something you are. That is the transformation you want. A life not dependent on feelings. A life guided by commitment. A life where discipline is automatic. Because when you train your mind this way, you become unstoppable. You no longer waste days because the spark didn't arrive. You live with certainty, knowing you will act regardless. That certainty is power. That certainty is freedom. That certainty is discipline. Every disciplined person you admire carries one truth. They mastered repetition of effort until their mind stopped questioning it. But behind that repetition lies another engine: self-respect. Without respect for yourself, your commitments crumble. Without respect for your own word, you break promises the moment comfort calls. To build an unshakable foundation of discipline, you must make self-respect the currency you guard most. Think about what happens when you skip the very thing you promised yourself. You say, "I'll train today." Then you don't. You say, "I'll finish the task." Then you push it off. At first it feels like a small break, a harmless decision. But each broken promise chips away at self-respect. Each time you ignore your own command, you teach yourself you cannot be trusted. Slowly, doubt creeps in. You stop believing your own words. And when you don't trust yourself, discipline collapses. Now imagine the opposite. You give yourself a strict order. Read 10 pages before bed. Run for 20 minutes. Write 1 paragraph. You follow through, even when you don't want to. That small act builds a record of proof. You begin to trust yourself. You begin to respect your own word. And with enough repetitions, that respect hardens into identity. You are no longer someone who tries. You are someone who acts. That self-respect becomes armor against excuses. Respect grows when you set standards and hold them. Not impossible standards that break you, but firm ones that leave no room for laziness. Think of soldiers. Their uniforms are sharp. Their beds are tight. Their routines are non-negotiable. Why? Because every small standard reinforces discipline. The external order builds internal respect. You can use the same principle in your life. Keep your workspace clear. Keep your body trained. Keep your word intact. Each standard you uphold tells your mind, "I am serious about myself." Understand that discipline without self-respect becomes punishment. If you act only out of guilt or fear, you'll resent the process. But when discipline is framed as respect, everything shifts. Waking up early isn't punishment. It's respect for your future. Finishing your work isn't punishment. It's respect for your potential. Training your body isn't punishment. It's respect for your health. Respect transforms effort into dignity. You must also be ruthless with excuses disguised as kindness. The voice says, "You've worked hard enough today. Rest early." Or, "Skipping once won't matter." On the surface, it feels like self-care. In reality, it is disrespect. Because every time you accept those whispers, you tell yourself your goals aren't worth it. True respect means refusing to accept lies that weaken you. Respect means saying, "I deserve better than comfort. My future deserves my effort now." Practical step. Track promises to yourself. Write down daily commitments. At night, check if you kept them. When you break one, note it. When you keep one, celebrate it. This practice builds awareness, and awareness builds accountability. Over weeks, you will see whether you live in self-respect or self-betrayal. Surround yourself with environments that reflect respect. If your space is chaotic, If your habits are sloppy, you invite laziness. But if your environment is orderly, clean, focused, you reinforce dignity. Your outer world mirrors your inner discipline. Respect is also built through the way you speak to yourself. Stop saying, "I can't." Replace it with, "I will begin now." Stop saying, "I'm too weak." Replace it with, "I am stronger than I feel." The language of respect is firm, direct, honest. Speak to yourself as you would to someone you admire. There will be days you fail. Discipline is not perfection, but respect is built in how you respond. If you break a promise, don't let it slide. Correct it immediately. Miss the morning run? Do it at night. Skip the reading? Do double tomorrow. Each correction tells your mind, "I take myself seriously." My word still stands. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes. Eventually, you won't need to fight yourself with every choice. Your self-respect will do the work. You will wake up, hear your command, and obey, because you know your word is law. From this day forward, make your respect the anchor of discipline. Keep promises to yourself. Protect your standards. Speak with authority. Correct your failures quickly. Every action you take says something about how much you value your future. And when your actions declare respect, discipline becomes effortless. Because discipline is not about punishing weakness. It is about honoring your strength. It is about living in a way that says, "I am worth the effort. My future is worth the sacrifice. My word deserves to be trusted." Build that respect, and discipline will no longer feel like a battle. It will feel like who you are. You have felt it, the pull of hesitation, that tiny pause where your mind tries to argue with your body. You decide to act, but a small voice whispers, "Wait a little longer. Later will be easier." That pause is poison. It gives excuses time to grow. And every second you hesitate, you weaken your discipline. The way to kill hesitation is to build immediate response. To train yourself to move the instant a decision enters your mind. No waiting, no bargaining, no delay. Think about how often you've lost battles in those pauses. You planned to exercise, but you sat for just a few minutes. Minutes became hours, and the workout never happened. You thought about starting a project, but told yourself, "I'll do it after this video." The video turned into a chain of distractions, and the project was forgotten. You intended to call someone, but thought, "I'll do it tomorrow." Tomorrow arrived looking exactly like today. Each time, hesitation stole the win. Now, imagine the opposite. Imagine that every time you had the thought to act, you moved. You thought of stretching, so you stood up instantly. You thought of writing, so you opened the document. You remembered a task, so you handled it right then. No gap, no negotiation. What would your life look like if that was your reflex? You would stop wasting time. You would stack victories. You would trust yourself completely. This is not fantasy. It is training. Your brain is fast at creating excuses, but only if you give it time. Within seconds of thinking about something difficult, your mind generates arguments against it. You're tired. It's not urgent. You'll have more energy later. But those arguments only appear when you hesitate. If you act before they form, you win. So discipline means conditioning yourself to shrink the gap between thought and action to zero. Decide, then move, think, then do, over and over, until it becomes instinct. One technique is the countdown. When the thought arises, count down silently. 3, 2, 1. Then act before your mind can object. This short-circuits hesitation. Another is the 1-minute rule. If something takes less than a minute, do it immediately. Each small action reinforces your identity as someone who acts, not someone who delays. Small actions matter more than you think. Picking up a book right away trains the same muscle that will help you start a business. Standing up when the alarm rings trains the same muscle that will help you push through exhaustion in critical moments. Discipline is built on these tiny repetitions of instant response. Do not underestimate hesitation. Every pause trains your brain that delay is acceptable. And when delay becomes normal, quitting becomes easier. That is why hesitation must be attacked ruthlessly. You cannot allow your body and mind to negotiate with weakness. Start practicing today. The moment your alarm rings, stand up immediately. Not after 5 minutes. Not after checking your phone. Immediately. When a task enters your mind, handle it before it grows into a mountain. When resistance appears, step into it quickly before it hardens. Each time you do, you strengthen the reflex. At first, this will feel forced. You'll resist. You'll slip. That's normal. But each victory makes the next easier. And soon, action becomes automatic. You stop debating. You stop waiting. You simply move. That is true discipline. Not effort that feels heavy, but reflex that feels natural. Immediate action does more than save time. It builds pride. Every time you act quickly, you feel a surge of strength. That pride fuels motivation. That motivation makes the next action easier. Momentum replaces regret. Instead of sitting with disappointment, you live with energy. Understand this truth. Hesitation kills discipline. Action creates it. If you want to live disciplined, you must condition yourself to act without delay. Not tomorrow. Not later. Now. Always now. From this moment forward, adopt this rule. When you decide, you move. When you feel the urge, you act. When you know the task, you do it immediately. Do this enough times, and hesitation will die. Action will live in its place. And with it, discipline will become your nature, not your struggle. Discipline isn't a trick you pull out when you feel weak. It's the person you are when nobody is watching. The moment discipline becomes identity, your decisions stop wobbling. You act because acting is consistent with who you are. You don't bargain with sleep. You don't plead with comfort. You don't audition for motivation. You follow your standard. And when life punches you in the mouth, as it will, you don't crumble into old patterns. You execute a reset. You return to form fast. This is the final turning of the key. Identity plus reset. You start by declaring who you are, not what you hope to do, who you are. Say it plainly. You are the kind of person who honors your word, moves when you decide, and protects your future over your feelings. You repeat that identity until it feels like skin. Then you prove it with action, because identity without evidence is fantasy. Each kept promise is a tile in the mosaic of who you are. Stack enough tiles, and the picture becomes undeniable. But no identity survives contact with reality without a plan for trouble. Fatigue, illness, travel, deadlines, heartbreak. Life will tilt the table. Without a protocol, a single missed session becomes a lost week, and a lost week becomes the story you tell about yourself. You will not let that happen. You will carry a clear, simple relapse protocol. Notice, name, narrow, do, and document. Notice. The instant you slip, stop the slide. Feel the friction, an extra snooze, a skipped set, an open social feed, and say out loud, This is the moment. Naming the moment rips it out of autopilot. You bring it into consciousness where you have leverage. Name. Call the behavior by its true name without drama. Not, I'm a failure, but I missed my run. I broke my focus block. I ate off plan. Precision keeps you from global judgments that ignite shame. Shame is gasoline for relapse. Accuracy is water. Narrow. Shrink the target until it's impossible to miss. If you planned 30 minutes, do 3. If you planned a chapter, write 3 sentences. If you planned a full lift, do 1 compound set. You are not lowering your standard. You are protecting your identity. Continuity beats intensity. A small kept promise is stronger than a grand abandoned one. Do, execute immediately. Within 5 minutes, complete the minimum viable rep. Don't think, don't tidy, don't research, move. The goal is to convert the slip into a kept commitment before the mind builds a courtroom of excuses. Document. Log it. Put a check in the box. Mark the streak. Write 1 clean sentence. Reset achieved at 7:14 p.m. 3 sentences written. Documentation turns victory into data you can't argue with. Memories distort. Marks on a page don't. Layer onto that a simple guardrail. The never miss twice rule. Missing once is human. Missing twice is a pattern. When you catch a miss, launch the reset protocol the same day or the very next morning. Treat a second miss like an alarm siren. Interrupt it with an immediate, smaller action that keeps the chain alive. Your identity also needs anchors, cues in your environment that whisper your standards back to you when your mind is noisy. Place your running shoes on the mat by the door every night. Keep the water bottle filled on your desk. Leave the notebook open to a half-finished sentence. Hang a simple card above your workspace that reads, "Decide, move, finish." These anchors do not rely on motivation. They trigger memory, and memory triggers motion. You will set standards you do not break. These are not complicated. They are clear, binary, checkable. Wake time window. Daily minimums for movement, focus, and learning. A hard stop on late-night scrolling. A phone that sleeps in another room. You don't argue with these standards because they are part of who you are. They are the rails that keep your train on the track when weather turns ugly. You will also define emergency versions of every habit. Travel day, do hotel room bodyweight circuits and a brisk hallway walk. Sick day, breathe, hydrate, stretch. Journal 2 lines about gratitude and patience. Deadline day, set a timer for 9 minutes and attack the 1 inch of work that moves the whole project. These are not concessions. They are continuity. They protect the streak that protects the identity. Understand the math of relapse. Discipline decays geometrically. 1 miss makes the second easier. The second invites the third. And the third starts to feel like who you are again. Your protocol breaks the curve. By acting inside minutes, by turning a miss into motion, you flatten the slope. You refuse the slide into what's the point. Your identity remains intact because you acted like yourself when it was hardest. There will be days when the weight is not external, but internal. Foggy mind, heavy mood, a gray sky inside your chest. On those days, you don't chase fireworks. You chase frictionless wins. Make your bed, drink water, walk outside, open the document and type a single true sentence. Answer the email that's oldest and ugliest. Each small act is a handhold out of the hole. Momentum doesn't knock. You build it. Rebuild trust through micro-promises. If you've had a rough stretch, don't vow to change your life by Monday. Pick 3 tiny non-negotiable actions for 48 hours. Lights out by a set time. 15 minutes of movement. 5 lines of planning. Keep them with fanatic precision. When you keep micro-promises, your self-respect returns, and with it, your power. Protect the morning like a border. The first hour decides whose voice you obey. No feeds, no inbox, no passive consumption. You begin with your anchors: water, breath, movement, plan. You aim your day before the world can aim it for you. When you win the start, you reduce the number of resets you need later. Pre-commitment is your friend. Schedule focus blocks on your calendar with a title that starts with a verb. Write draft. Call prospects. Review numbers. Place the tools you need where you will do the work. The book on the pillow. The shoes by the mat. The dumbbell by the kettle. Commitment becomes architecture. Architecture removes decision. Less decision means fewer chances to drift. Environment is louder than intention. If your desk is chaos, you invite chaos. If your phone lives in your hand, your attention doesn't live with you. Design the room to make the disciplined choice the easy choice. A charging station outside the bedroom, a single notebook on the desk, noise-blocking headphones within reach, a default playlist that means work starts now. When the space speaks, you don't need to. Rehearse difficult moments in advance. Picture the evening when cravings hit. Imagine the meeting that drains you. Walk yourself through the response you will choose. Water first, 5 breaths, 1 page, 10 push-ups, a short walk, a strict bedtime. By the time the moment arrives, you've already acted in your mind. The body follows the rehearsal. When you break a standard, and you will, practice clean recovery. No self-insults, no compensatory extremes, no, I'll start next month. Clean recovery sounds like this. I missed. Here is the minimum I will do in the next 5 minutes. Here is the obstacle I will remove tonight. Here is the reminder I will see tomorrow morning. Then you move. You don't indulge a story. You execute a fix. Carry a personal oath, short enough to remember, strong enough to matter. I protect my future with today's actions. I don't wait for feelings. I do what I said I'd do. Whisper it when you lace your shoes. Read it before hard conversations. Write it at the top of a fresh page. The oath is not decoration. It is a line you live on. Build a small council of accountability. 2 names is enough. Share weekly commitments in 1 message every Sunday night. Report results Friday afternoon with 3 bullets. What you kept, what you missed, what you learned. No drama, no essays, no excuses. The point is pressure, not performance art. External eyes remind you of internal standards. Remember the physics of identity: behavior, evidence, belief, behavior. Every kept promise is evidence. Evidence becomes belief. Belief governs the next behavior. The loop can spiral upward or downward. You choose the direction by what you do next, not by what you intend next. If you want to feel disciplined, act disciplined for 5 minutes. The feeling will catch up. Do not let mastery make you soft. When routines become easy, complacency stalks the room. Refresh your edges. Add a small progression. 2 more minutes of focus. 5 more pounds. 1 more call. A slightly earlier wake window. Growth keeps boredom from opening the door to relapse. The point isn't punishment, it's aliveness. Expect storms and carry grace. Discipline is steel, but it is also flexibility. Some seasons will run hot, others will limp. When life hits hard, switch from growth mode to maintenance mode. Keep the lights on. Protect sleep, nutrition, movement, and 1 hour of honest work. Don't chase records when you're rebuilding the house. Stabilize the foundation, then climb. Keep choosing the small honorable act. Do the thing you said you'd do. At the time you said you'd do it, in the way you said you'd do it, even when no one would know if you didn't. That is the heartbeat of identity. You will not be perfect. Perfection is a costume laziness wears to keep you from starting. You will be precise, resilient, and relentless. You will decide, move, and finish. You will carry a reset for every failure and an anchor for every storm. And every day, you will write fresh evidence that the disciplined person you claim to be is the disciplined person you are. You stand now with two guides on either side, comfort on the left, calling softly, commitment on the right, quiet but solid. You will hear both each day. You will choose the right-hand path, not once in a dramatic moment, but in 1,000 small decisions. That is how identity becomes real, not by proclamation, but by practice. Say it one more time so your bones remember. You do not wait to feel ready. You do not negotiate with weakness. You do not abandon yourself when you slip. You act, you reset, you continue. This is who you are. And because this is who you are, your future is not a wish. It is the logical outcome of the choices you make today. Sharp, honest, disciplined choices that stack into a life you respect. Now, stand, breathe, begin, decide, move, finish, then do it again tomorrow, and the next day, and the next, until the doing is indistinguishable from your name. You have walked through every layer of discipline: the refusal to negotiate with laziness, the habit of instant action, the mastery of thought, the power of repetition, the voice of strict self-direction, the deliberate use of pressure, the embrace of effort over relief, the fight against impulses, the focus on what matters, the conditioning of action without motivation, the respect for your own word, the reflex of immediate response, and finally, the transformation of discipline into your identity. Now, it all comes together. You can see clearly that discipline is not a single act, not a burst of effort, not a trick for productivity. Discipline is a lifestyle. It is a promise to yourself that you refuse to break. It is a constant decision to honor your future more than your comfort. Every time you chose to act in the face of resistance, you trained your mind. Every time you honored your word, you strengthened your respect. Every time you rejected impulses and comfort, you stacked another brick on the fortress of toughness you now carry. This fortress is not built overnight, but day by day, choice by choice, until it becomes who you are. The truth is simple. Motivation will leave you. Comfort will tempt you. Impulses will test you. But discipline, once embedded into your identity, never leaves. It is yours to keep. And with it comes freedom. Freedom from hesitation. Freedom from regret. Freedom from weakness. So as you close this journey, remember, discipline is not about punishment. It is about power. It is about self-respect. It is about living with dignity and strength every single day. Carry that truth forward. Live it, breathe it, and let it shape a future so strong, so focused, that nothing can pull you back.